Welcome to today's webcast on what's trending with Microsoft BI, Power BI, PowerApps, and Azure. My name is Fiero, and I'm joined by my colleague Bridget. Bridget and I are business intelligence and analytics consultants here at Thorogood, and we've drawn on our Microsoft experience and expertise to bring you today's presentation. Our agenda today will start with a brief introduction to Thorogood. We'll then jump into the Power BI roadmap and recent updates, which I think you're going to like. Bridget is then going to take us through an introduction and use case on PowerApps and wrap up the webcast with updates to Microsoft Azure. For those of you who don't know Thorogood, we're an independent global professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics strategies, solutions, and services with a keen focus on our customers. We're a global company with offices in New York, Philadelphia, London, Bangalore, India, Singapore, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. All of our consultants are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of skills, blending business understanding in the form of industry and functional expertise with a strong technical aptitude and deep understanding of analytical tools and techniques. We offer a full range of BI and analytics services, including strategy and roadmaps, requirements, designs, implementation, and training and support. Our clients typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical, health services, banking, and insurance. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in these sectors, and we take a lot of pride in the long-standing relationships we have fostered with some of the names that you see here. In terms of technology that we work with, we're an independent consulting firm, meaning we don't work with one specific technology. We do, however, work and partner with many of the key players across in the market in order to provide our clients with solutions that best suit their needs. With today's topic focusing on Microsoft, I have put together some of our Microsoft credentials. We have been a Microsoft Gold Partner for over 15 years and a certified data analytics platform in collaboration and content. In addition, we are a Cloud Platform Certified Partner. Our partnership gives us great interface into Microsoft development team, allowing for open communication both from Microsoft directly to our customers and feedback from our customers back to the developers. Microsoft BI and Analytics product suite is quite expansive. We tried to categorize the products in many ways, but feel like grouping them into these 4 categories, reporting, collaboration, data platform, and analytics, helps best communicate the extensive broad reach that Microsoft spans. Now, as mentioned, there are quite a lot across the product suite, too much for us to cover to do justice in such a short webcast. We're going to focus our attention today on the evolution we've seen and expect to continue to see with Power BI, Azure, and PowerApps. Now, the first area to be covered today will be the Power BI roadmap. What I'll be focusing on today is how Power BI can be used based on your enterprise's abilities and needs. I will also be going to cover the recent release of the composite models, which I think is going to be in high demand. So what is Power BI for those unfamiliar with the tool? Well, it's many things to many people, but in summary, it can do the following. It allows you to connect to multiple data sources, both on-premises and in the cloud. It allows you to transform data, do manipulations or calculations to format that content. It also allows you to model the data into structures that have meaning for reporting and combine models and different data sources. Once modeled, it allows you to generate insightful and visually attractive reports and dashboards to purvey the content. It also provides built-in intelligence and analytical capability to allow you to understand your data better and run predictions. And then finally, it allows you to share that analysis with others and collaborate on it. So a big question that comes up most of the time is, when do I need the gateway and what is it even for? So what we have here is more detail in the next few slides is when to use that gateway and what exactly is it. So we can clearly see the gateway is not needed when data and reporting are either both on-prem or both in the cloud. However, once data and reporting needs differ, the gateway will then be used. For example, let's say I have my data in a SQL database on-prem, but I want to create reports and share them in Power BI service. I would need the gateway to complete such an action. So on the subject of on-prem, this leads us nicely to talk about Power BI Data Gateway in more detail. The Data Gateway is essentially a bridge between our on-prem data and the cloud-based Power BI service. So to give you a brief overview of how the Data Gateway works, a query will be created by the cloud service. You can see here that the gateway isn't just utilized by Power BI service, but other cloud-based services, including Azure Analysis Services. The query, along with the encrypted credentials for the on-prem data source, are sent to the queue for the gateway to process. The gateway gets the query, decrypts the credentials, and connects to data sources with those credentials. The gateway then sends the query to the data source for execution. The results are sent back to the data source, back to the gateway, and then onto your cloud service. Now, each month, Microsoft releases incremental refreshes to the gateway technology, primarily focusing on additional connectivity improvements. For example, the gateway already supports single sign-on for the key Microsoft technologies, plus other sources such as Teradata and Oracle, but they're adding more in each release, such as single sign-on for SAP HANA and Impala. Now, a big issue that I've seen firsthand with some organizations is security and user permissions when accessing data. Recently, Power BI has come out with a single sign-on support when connecting to data sources from the Power BI service. When a user interacts with a direct query report, each filter, slicer, and any other report editing operations can result in a query executing live against the underlying on-prem data source. With this single sign-on feature configured to the data source, these queries will now execute under the identity of the user interacting with the report. So each user now will only see the data in which they have permissions to. And as you can see from the flowchart, this feature is now available with Teradata, SQL Server, SAP HANA, and Oracle. And now the last item that I'd like to touch on is one of the latest updates, including the composite models. So until recently, when you connect to a data source via direct query or imported data, it is not possible to connect to any other data source in the same report or even add imported data. Now with composite models, currently in preview mode, this impediment has been removed. What is now possible is a single report can seamlessly combine data from multiple direct query sources and or combine that data from direct query and imported data sources. Now not only can data sources live together in the same file, but this update includes a feature called dual storage mode. But what exactly does that mean? So you can assign a table with a storage mode as dual, and it creates a copy of that data for that table as it will be imported, so any visuals that reference only columns from that table will use the imported data rather than require a query against the underlying data source. Now this can be particularly helpful with a report that has a lot of slicers and filters. Overall benefits here are improved report performance and a lessened load in the back-end source. And one minor update that I wanted to call out to you is you now have the ability to turn on and off tooltips, which I know for some dashboards that I've worked with can be very useful. Now that concludes our look at Power BI. Let me hand it over to Bridget to take a look at what's happening with PowerApps.
Thanks, Austin. Well, alongside the rapidly growing Power BI tool that Austin just took us through, we have also seen a huge spike in interest across our customers' industries generated by PowerApps. So PowerApps is a set of tools available from Microsoft that are designed to empower the everyday user to design and build custom apps for your workplace. When it comes to creating optimized workflows or automated processes, the intuitive drag-and-drop developer tools that help to minimize potential gaps between a business need and programmers' technical code are available through PowerApps. On the surface, these apps are an interface for users to interact with a clean, easy-to-use format. And behind the scenes, the apps can trigger workflows, document inputs, and ultimately let you be more productive with your business. This ability to easily innovate on your existing procedures enables you to react more efficiently to actions or changes and to integrate previously separated business units across your organization. Let's consider a common scenario to understand an example of how PowerApps can be applied in practice. So in this case, I'll take the role of a customer manager. So I'm on a client site when I'm asked a question that I don't have the answer to. I've decided that this is valuable information that I should have at my fingertips, and therefore I want it added to an existing Power BI dashboard that I have. So once I get back to my computer, I'll write an email to a general dashboard support distribution list. While I may be able to accurately describe exactly what I'm looking for, maybe I don't have the dashboard in front of me anymore and might end up sending a vague request. And this request goes to everyone on that distribution list, and they all receive a copy of the email and have to read through to identify if it applies to one of the reports that they manage. Once the report owner is identified, He may need to ask some clarifying questions, like confirming exactly where I want these changes made or what details I need. And so maybe these correspondents are going back and forth over email, which could cause elapsed time and ultimately a delay in delivery. Finally, when the report owner has the information he needs, he'll be able to complete the request and republish the updated dashboard, so I have that new information available through Power BI. Now, alternatively, this is a perfect example of a workflow that could be optimized with a PowerApps solution. So as the customer manager, I can access something like a change request app directly from my phone on the client site. So I can fill out a preset form that will require me to provide all of the information that will be needed by the report owner. So while decreasing the time it will take for me to submit the request, I'm also minimizing ambiguity by things like selecting the exact report or screen that I want the information added to. So this change request app can automatically identify who the report owner is based on that screen selection I made and trigger an email alert with the use of Microsoft Flow. And this automated workflow decreases the time that my request gets to the report owner who can actually make the change. And again, once the necessary changes are made, the report owner can republish the report, making that available to me. They can also go back into the app and add a note or a screenshot of the fix within the app, mark the request as closed, and generate another automated email back to me with the status update. So I know right away what the change looks like and that it's ready to go. So this is just one simple example of how PowerApps could really streamline this process and decrease both the manual effort required and the elapsed time from request to delivery. Now, once you've identified a use case that will help streamline your own business, Microsoft has made it very easy to get started with PowerApps. So as soon as you log in to web.powerapps.com, your home screen shows pre-made templates that are ready to be synced up to your data sources, customized, and deployed. Some out-of-the-box options include help desk or service requests, similar to the use case we just described, vacation requests, room or resource bookings, surveys, checklists, and many others really that are ready to get started with just a few clicks. PowerApps also provides guidance if you're looking to innovate from a blank canvas on a unique solution. The final two options listed here of start from blank and start from data templates are really that clean slate to start with Microsoft guiding you through the app building process. And for those of you who are already using PowerApps, there are some new features on the horizon that are expected to be released next month. And I'll only list a few here, but there are many more that Microsoft has announced to really expand this tool. So the first is the integration of Power BI with PowerApps. Specifically, coming with the next release, you'll be able to refresh reports directly from apps. So there's no need to switch back and forth between applications, but within PowerApps, you can get the most up-to-date data in your Power BI reports. Screen sizes can be customized to match the dimension of your company-issued devices, so there's no more guessing or checking to make sure that your report or app will appear exactly as you expect it to on those company devices. There's a long list of end-user experiences that have been improved, including improved app speed, both authoring on the web and app playing, loading times of model-driven apps, and the performance of Power App forms in SharePoint, just to name a few. And finally, Microsoft has expanded default theme options to help drive that quick win delivery of these apps. So now, without needing to create custom themes, you can offer users a seamless experience with tools like SharePoint that have a Microsoft theme already built in. And there are many more updates to be expected, as I mentioned, so definitely check out the Microsoft website or feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about what's coming with PowerApps. Also, going back to that sample use case, we talked about Flow and how that would be used to identify the report owner and to trigger an automated email with the change request. Alongside PowerApps, Flow is an extremely powerful tool for processing these types of workflow tasks. This is also a tool that's seen many enhancements in the past few months. Again, I'll cover just a few here. Recent updates include the ability to automatically sync events from Google Calendars to Office 365 Outlook or Outlook.com calendars to make sure even if you have multiple teams, all of your appointments are synced up. multiple value support, such as pulling a list of available reports from a SharePoint list to be selected in that change request app. So you don't necessarily need to fill in the exact report name, but you can select from an available list. Sending approvals on behalf of others can help in the situations of vacations or absences, so production isn't delayed and waiting on an approval, someone that might not be available. And finally, native connector updates. A couple examples, the Azure Blob connector now supports pagination, setting content type for blobs. The Yammer connector has a set of new and updated operations to fetch user profiles and other information about posts. And the Azure SQL Data Warehouse supports stored procedures and the execution of native T-SQL queries, again, helping with that overall interaction and integration of your Flow workflows. So together, PowerApps and Flow are truly a powerful pairing with the capabilities ultimately to revolutionize how companies work and how teams function without the overhead of custom design or coding to meet some of these needs. Now we'll move to our final section, where we'll take a look at the updates made to some of Microsoft's Azure offerings. The offerings within Microsoft Azure span nearly all corners of the BI and analytics market. Perhaps the most common area you may be familiar with is data storage, such as Azure SQL databases or warehouses, as well as cloud-specific solutions for blob storage or data lake stores. Within the Azure landscape, data transformation and modeling can be achieved with tools like Data Factory or Azure Analysis Services to ensure your data is prepared to meet the organization's reporting needs. Microsoft also offers tools like Azure ML or HD Insights to drive analytics, allowing deeper data understanding and providing rich insights. Now, all of these tools, those I just mentioned and many others, can be integrated into a seamless architecture and tied together with Active Directory access control. So we'll see some of these in more detail in our following sections. We'll share the newest feature offerings for them. To start, we'll take a look at Azure SQL Database, Microsoft's fully managed relational cloud database service, providing the broadest SQL Server Engine compatibility for your SQL databases. There are two recent updates that I'll highlight here. The first is that a vCore-based purchasing model is now generally available for single and elastic pool instances of Azure SQL Database. What that means is that in a vCore-based model, you get more flexibility to choose your storage and compute options independently, very similar to what you may be used to with an on-premises SQL Server installation. Previously, the only purchasing model available was a bundled DTU, or Database Transaction Units model, which tied the storage and compute scalability to one another. So the flexibility of the new vCore-based model is really useful when you're looking to take that first step to move your on-prem SQL database to the cloud, while allowing you to explore the possible long-term purchasing models. And a second interesting feature recently released for Azure SQL DB is geographic failover with automatic activation. So again, taking a step back, all applications require a business continuity plan in case the primary server fails. Geographic failover enables replication of the applications on Azure data centers in different geographies and helps businesses switch over in the case that the primary does fail. Now previously, this failover needed to be manually activated after the service failed. With this new general availability, enabling the switch to a backup or secondary server can happen automatically in the case of failover. This makes a big difference for global applications hosted on the cloud, as teams in different geographies don't have to wait for the tech team somewhere else in the world to arrive, potentially losing valuable business hours. For ADLS, the Azure Data Lake Store, Gen 2 is now available in preview. So Data Lake Storage Gen 2 is a highly scalable and cost-effective data lake solution for big data analytics. It combines the power of a high-performance file system with massive scale and economy to help you get insights quickly. Data Lake Storage Gen 2 extends Azure Blob storage capabilities and is optimized for large analytics workloads. This is a natural step for Microsoft, having recently made Azure SQL Data Warehouse Gen 2 generally available. We'll cover that more in just a bit. So combining this with the Data Lake Store Gen 2 would mean high throughput for your big data analytics. So what does this mean for your Azure initiatives? Well, Gen 2 natively integrates with other Azure data services, including Azure Databricks and Azure Data Factory, for building end-to-end big data and advanced analytics solutions. So if you're already using these services, Gen 2 will increase the performance. And if you're looking to evaluate cloud offerings, this combination could be a good starting point. Gen 2 also supports atomic file operations, which significantly reduce the transaction overhead required for job execution. The end state, reducing the time it takes for big data analytics jobs to complete. Now, I mentioned just a moment ago the Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and this is Microsoft's cloud-based enterprise data warehouse that leverages massively parallel processing, or MPP, to quickly run queries across extremely large data sets. For a big data solution, Azure SQL Data Warehouse is a key component. So as I mentioned, Microsoft recently made the Azure SQL Data Warehouse Gen 2 generally available. This release comes with 5 times the compute capacity and 4 times the concurrent queries of the Gen 1 offering. In addition, Data Warehouse Gen 2 comes with 2 very useful features: automatic statistics and rejected row support. Statistics, as you probably are aware, are very important to ensure the data warehouse is performant. However, creating statistics on every table will result in extended load times. To ensure the administrators are able to keep a close watch on performance issues and not impact the analytics jobs, Microsoft implemented automatic statistics, which enables creating statistics only for the tables that require it. Secondly, Gen 2 offers rejected row support. Data warehouses often load massive volumes of data from all sources, including external files. If a certain number of rows were not loaded into the data warehouse, identifying them can be very challenging and time-consuming. The rejected row support allows for capturing the rows that were rejected so users can quickly debug, figuring out what the difference is and the reasons for the rejection. Another very useful feature is the user-defined restore points. So SQL Data Warehouse automatically takes snapshots of your data warehouse every 8 hours, guaranteeing an 8-hour recovery point objective. While these automated snapshots ease the management burden of running your data warehouse, there is a need to take snapshots at critical times based on your business need. For example, taking a snapshot right before a significant data load. SQL Data Warehouse now supports those custom user-defined restore points to ensure your data is secure and trusted at all times. With the introduction of instant data access, Azure SQL Data Warehouse sets new performance benchmarks, leading the industry in many metrics. For those looking to run big data analytics with massive data volumes, you can now do more, get more insights faster, and achieve cost efficiency. And finally, for a data warehouse to be performant, you need to ensure that there are no data skews or suboptimal table statistics. These are common reasons for degrading performance. Microsoft has introduced automatic intelligent insights that analyzes your data warehouse, collecting telemetry and surfacing recommendations based on your active workload. At no additional cost, SQL Data Warehouse surfaces these intelligent insights for all Gen 2 instances. And finally, Azure Databricks. Databricks was developed by a team who wrote the Spark language and is being offered as a first-level offering within Azure, meaning you can create Databricks cluster using the Azure portal with great ease and efficiency. Databricks allow you to run advanced analytics routines on large-scale data sets. It runs in memory, so it's highly performant, supports multiple languages, for instance, Python and R, as well as SQL, which is good for your data science teams. This allows users to choose the most appropriate language for a task or one they are comfortable with. For example, moving and reading large CSV files using Spark is more performant than Python. Databricks data workbook packages can be executed directly or embedded in a process workflow, such as those built using the Azure Data Factory for using the analytical capability in your production scenarios throughout your organization. And that's all we have time to cover today, although there's plenty more under the topic of Microsoft's roadmap. So if you do have any questions or are interested to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have more webcasts coming up covering other BI technologies and topics you can see on the screen here. We also have a variety of pre-recorded content available on demand on our website at thorogood.com/perspectives. So thank you for joining us today, and again, please don't hesitate to reach out to Austin or I with any questions. So thank you, and have a great day.